Hey guys, Troy again, and here with a video that I had promised to bring you about a pen that I was kind of looking forward to being able to have in my hands. Now, I got this pen a while back, and I have yet to be able to play with it because work and life and family, but this is a Waterman Safety Pen. And I had purchased one of these, obviously used because they're from like the beginning of the 20th century, early 1900s. And, it was kind of in rough shape. It's the hard rubber. And I was looking forward to being able to get it and have it restored. It is a Waterman 12S, as I recall, safety pen. And the only downside to it is that it's one of the shorter ones, with the S designation, I guess, being for the shorter version. I was kind of hoping for the bigger version. I had seen them. They're kind of a novelty item, I guess, the way I see it. But, I went ahead and purchased it, and it was in great physical shape. There was nothing really wrong with it when I bought it. Sure, there was some discoloration to the hard rubber. The seal in the back is probably the original cork seal was totally worn out. But physically and operationally, it still worked great. And when I bought it, there was some personalization up here on the top of the cap that you can see now has been restored to its original condition without the engraving that was on it. So when I bought it, I was thinking, all right, I've got a couple people in mind to be able to get the restoration job done, and I reached out to one of them, and he had done some work on them before, but I also knew that Stef over in England with Grandmia Pens. If you're not familiar with his YouTube channel, you probably need to go to his YouTube channel, and I'll put a link to his channel here in the description of my video. But I went ahead and sent this off to Stef. Stef does great work. I've got some Stef refurbished pens here in my collection that I've gotten from him in the past. So I know that he does good work, and I saw his videos many times on YouTube, so I know that he does pretty good restoration work. And at a reasonable price. I was quite happy with the amount of money that Stef wanted in order to restore this pen. So, it's still got some of the markings on it, fairly still nice imprint on the cap, and I know it's here on the barrel as well. Not quite as much on the barrel as it was on the cap, but when you pull off the cap, as it is a screw cap, you've got the threads here, and this part here was discolored compared to the rest of the barrel. And back here you've got the twist knob, and so if you're familiar with like a Lamy Dialogue 3, then you know the concept of what I'm about to do. So you twist the knob, and it's kind of stiff, which is actually a good thing, because before it was really loose, and that just told me I probably had some worn out seals. But there's some rubber seals back here now. I did not put in like cork for the original, and Stef did some work on the nib, polished it up really nice, put everything together nicely, and I've got a Waterman Safety Pen. I have yet to ink this up and play with it because just, life. So let's go ahead and recess that nib. And what you do is you kind of fill it like an eyedropper. So you've got this hole here, and you're going to end up taking ink through a pipette or through a syringe and put it into here. And then you'll put the nib out and you'll write with it. So let's go ahead and set this down for right now. Out of the book Waterman, Past and Present, the First 6 Decades, the eyedropper filled safety pen, the Waterman 12S. Mine is right in here, the 12VS with a threaded turning knob, 12.5 VS, 12.5 V, 12.5 V. Then you look over here, and then you've got the 12S, which is essentially what mine was. You can see that this is the black chased hard rubber here, and it's got a band on it here, which is not necessarily what I've got, but it said literally on the thing, and I don't know as though I've got that imprint really so much here anymore, but it does say 12S right there on the tip. So, alright, and right here, circa 1905 to 1935 was the production run for these. So I'll set that book aside. So let's go ahead and ink it up, and let's go ahead and play with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this style of blunt tip syringe in order to suck up the ink. You can probably hear my knucklehead dogs outside barking at something. I'm going to use Waterman Intense Black. And just because Waterman seems to be a very safe ink, both pH-wise and behaviorally, with all the vintage pens that I've used, and I wanted to use a black ink. So I'm not sure how much ink is actually going to go into the safety pen, but let's go ahead and suck up a bunch. Set that aside. Let's go ahead and take that, stick it in, and fill it. Now the first time I tried using this pen, I went ahead and instead of trying to fill it with water first to see if it would hold water, I tried to fill it with ink. And I ended up with ink all over my hands because, sure enough, because that seal in the back, and I knew that the seals might be gone, I just didn't know it would be gushing out. So I ended up with ink all over my hands, black ink everywhere. So, I threw in, I think, enough ink for right now to play with. Maybe I'll throw in just a little bit more. What the heck. Alright. Don't know how full that is, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to set it aside for the moment. I'm going to set it standing up in a tray that I have set off from camera view. Let's put the ink back in the bottle. And I'm already running a little lower than I like on this particular ink. Let's put it back. And let's go ahead and wipe off the syringe, and I'll clean this out later. Alright, so let's take our Waterman Safety Pen. Alright, it's not leaking. That's a good sign. Oh, man. And you're not going to post a pen like this. It's not going to at all. So I don't even try. Sometimes I love me some vintage pens, and I love Waterman in particular. So let's go ahead and bring up the, I mean, look at that feed. Stef really did a good job on that. Alright, now holding it. It's a light pen. There's not a lot of weight to it. Let's go ahead and do this. Look, ink is not spilling out everywhere, so that's a good sign that we have a really good seal. And Stef said that the nib needed some work to get it to write really well. So let's see how well he did. Alright, so Waterman Safety Pen. It's a little scratchy. So let me angle it down just a little bit, because if you angle it up just a hair, I got a little bit of scratch to it. And I'm not sure how much tipping material is on it because I haven't really looked at it under a loop or anything like that. So this is circa, not copyright actually, but circa 1905 to 1934, I think, is what I had read in the book. Now, you hold it at a slightly lower angle, it actually does very well. So let's see how well this old nib flexes. Look at that. That's a beautiful line. You can probably hear, though, it's a little toothy when you go down on it just a little bit. You do get some feedback to it, and it is just a little scratchy. And you know, I didn't buy this pen for an everyday carry. I didn't buy this pen for me to be able to use necessarily on a daily basis. I bought this as a collection piece, which is probably what it's going to be. So it's going to sit over here, and it is going to be stored nib up, and it's going to be stored in a pen holder. So it'll actually stay, from what I understand, is the proper way to store a safety pen. So, actually, you know, this is kind of neat. Some people love them, some people hate them. There are people who think that these have been kind of a waste of resources. I know people who have had them and gotten rid of them because, you know, they just didn't really think all that much of them. But, you know, you're looking at something that was kind of an innovation. You know that Noodlers has come out with their Boston Safety Pen, and I've tried looking at those and buying them. I actually was on a charity auction for it, and somebody just edged me out for it. But you know, still, even though this is a shorter pen, I kind of wanted the bigger version. This is actually still not too bad to hold in the hand. It's actually more comfortable than I thought it would be. I'm used to like girthier pens and slightly longer pens, but I do like it. And I think I paid like 40 bucks for this particular pen. I think that's all I really paid was 40 bucks. So, you know, all in all, I don't feel bad about how much I paid for this pen at all. I don't feel bad about the fact that I've got a pen that's probably about 100 years old, a century-old pen, that actually performs fairly well, and it's brought back to its former glory. One of the things I'm going to do, if I haven't already, is, you know, I'll tell you what, in the description below, I'll give you the link for the video that I did of the pen when I first got it in pen mail, and actually showed you the pictures. And if I'll see if I still got some of the pictures to put up as to the condition that it was in prior to restoration, because look at this restoration job. This is absolutely gorgeous, and this is why I contacted Stef. I mean, you get a nice bright nib, a really nice shiny feed. The black hard rubber barrel is just excellently done, nice and shiny, polished, and the same thing with the cap. Stef was meticulous about it. He did a fantastic job of it, and we communicated. He's a great communicator by email, asking you what you want done, and you know, he asked about a couple of things. Number one, did I want the discoloration taken care of? That was on the barrel, and did I want to see about removing that personalization that was on the cap? And I had told him, I said, the personalization, you know, yeah, well, it's there, it's kind of part of the pen, and it kind of adds character to it, but if you can safely remove it, if there's enough material still on this pen to go ahead and remove it and still make it look like new, okay, go ahead. And he knocked it out of the park. He did a fantastic job. So, you know, Stef is well thought of in our household. Matthew kind of likes him. I like him. We like his work. We're happy with the guy. And I look forward to actually meeting him someday when I need to go to like the London Pen Show, maybe in the coming years. But, you know, I am, yeah, see now, that's looking fairly decent. You can still hear just a little bit of scratch to it. I mean, it's like a 100-year-old nib. So, and like I said, I haven't taken it and looking at the tipping material. I haven't looked to see if the tines are still aligned on it. But I definitely will take a better look at it just to see if there's anything I can do to it. But right there is actually a very smooth operation. Great flex. And if you hold it almost to a sweet spot, you get some really, really good, nice line variation, and you get some smoothness to it. So the Waterman Safety Pen, kind of a cool pen, manufactured obviously by Waterman back in the early 1900s. I do like vintage pens, and now I have a nicely restored and for the first time inked. You watched me ink it for the very first time right here on video. A nice Waterman Safety Pen added to functionality within my collection.